Welcome back into another episode of Spaceman 2.0 Phoenix Truth Rising Show. Here to help you grow in the knowledge and wisdom of truth, and the truth will set you free. With the best history lesson and spiritual insights on the planet, exposure of the Illuminati's plan of world conquest and control is the death knell to the New World Order. Let's get right back into the Mark of the Beast and tying it in with Daniel's vision and how this relates with present day revelations unfolding. So before we get back into the Huns, the Visigoths, and the Goths, and how that relates back into history, let's just have a little meditation, and one from Mr. Michael Silverhawk. So in Chapter 15, recording number 2, HATONN, Monday, October 26, 1992, 11:19 a.m., year 6, day 71. Again, for a bit of calming inspiration, I turn to Silverhawk to share and gain stability and purpose, mission and direction before we enter again into the Mark of the Beast, in which the very telling bombards the soul with dankness. We are the Minutemen of the Great Spirit. We hold the trust of God. We go forth unto victory. We are the one with our star. We ride the mighty whirlwind. We see beyond the veil. All lies will turn to dust in us. With lightning we prevail. The time has come upon us to take our staff and walk. With eye of light and words of truth, all mystery we unlock. The dark is fading quickly now, for the mighty sun. For long we all will realize, in truth we all are one. When man finds fellowship with God again, his word is law, his voice is thunder, his eyes are lightning, his life is everlasting. Amen, and ho, ahoy, the Ranger. Remember, scroll down below if you like a copy of the Phoenix Journals. Get one in your hand today. These are the truth, and it will be your lessons and maybe your guiding light for what you need to be told to be the next move in your direction in this world. Because we're all given our inspiration and directions differently for those who are considered the chosen in one sense or another. To continue, the Mark of the Beast, tying it in with Daniel. Now you're getting some more tying in with Daniel. The dragon that stood before the woman, ready to devour her child as soon as it was born, and 7 heads and 10 horns. Revelation. Daniel's 4th beast, which was the Roman Empire, had 10 horns. The dragon, of course, is Satan. Here you have the tie-in emphasizing the satanic character of the Roman Empire. Remember what it degenerated into under the emperors. In its early days under the Republic, they produced some men of stern and great character, although even at that stage, their morals had decayed pretty badly. Under the emperors, it reached a point where it could not have gotten any worse. About like Hollywood today, plus more murders. Satanism is the unifying theme which runs through all of this, showing its origin. The dragon stood before the woman to devour her son. Herod, the Edomite Jew, HATONN. To have meaning of definition to your readers, we are reduced to labeling incorrectly, but nonetheless, for your perception and intent, by the now accepted term, Jew. You remember, tried to murder the infant Jesus, Jesus Emmanuel, and in the 2nd chapter of Matthew, we are told about that. He slaughtered all the male children up to the age of 2 in Bethlehem, just to make sure that he wouldn't fail to kill the right one. So you see, if you ever needed it, this is further confirmation of the satanic origin and character of those so-called Jews. Let us now get back to the book of Revelations. We will go on to the 13th chapter, where we are beginning to come to the beasts. John says, I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea. So remember now, this beast is coming up out of the great mass of the non-Israel Enosh people, a beast having 7 heads and 10 horns. What did the dragon have? 7 heads and 10 horns. And the dragon, of course, is always representative of Satan. And upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. It designates one beast, but having the composite characteristics of the earlier ones, so that whereas each of these had originally in its turn been all by itself a world empire, now you have something which would succeed them, which would take in all of these previous empires and all the same satanic character. If you know the answer to this, comment down below. It was in the last previous episodes of the Phoenix Truth Rising Show, Divine Plan, Volume 2. And that is, who were the two most greatest generals of all time? Okay, I'll just leave it at that. If you know the answers, please put that down below in the comment section. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority, and I saw one of his heads, and it, as it were wounded unto death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given to him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Revelation 13, 1, 8. So we know there's a prophecy says the ships of Chittim will shoot him in the head when he tries to make his way into Israel and go into the third temple being built and proclaim himself as God. Okay, so the ships of Chittim out in the middle Mediterranean will shoot him, remember, in the head. He comes back alive. That's what this is talking about, Revelation 13, 1, 8. And that's why in the news you've had Gifford got shot in the head, came back alive, a senator. A lot of people, so-called, got shot in the head and still living, and they're trying to say that this is potentially possible. So just watch out for that breaking true in the near future. It is interesting to note that some of the symbolism here for you are dealing with something smaller than worldwide conditions. You're dealing with a single kingdom. Rivers are often used to symbolize a mass of people. Assyria and Egypt especially have been thus symbolized. In Revelation 12, verse 15, speaking of that woman, Israel, who was persecuted by the dragon, it says, And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. That would seem most likely to refer to the flood-like invasion of the Huns under Attila in the middle 1400s AD. You will remember the people of Israel on their march out of Western Asia from the southerly end of the Caspian Sea. Some of them came up around the eastern side of the Caspian Sea. Others came up around the westerly side of it through the Caucasus Mountains. And north of the Caspian Sea, they joined the forces again, moved along the easterly end of the Black Sea, crossed the Crimean Peninsula, found the Danube Valley, and started westwardly up into Europe. But it took them across the path taken by the invading Mongolian Huns under Attila. Remember, the Khazarians live up above the Caucasus Mountains between the Black and Caspian Sea, which I believe are Gog from Magog, that has been invading present-day Palestine over and over every 100 years, 10 years, 15 years, and leaving their spies behind. This kind of comes into some of that mixing there. They had to go through in the invading Mongolian Huns under Attila. Satan would have been trying to cut them off, the people of Israel, from getting to their ancient homelands. The frightful number of these Huns, had they been and remained in the path of them, could have literally outrun them and exterminated them, or at least swept them up in the mass and mongrelized them. But God didn't allow that. God had promised in Isaiah 43 verse 2, When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. So we're getting into some interesting understanding of history, aren't we not? And remember, this is David Stein, I think, with the Mark of the Beast. So this is one man's perspective. We have to always discern the truth, and that's why you're here on the planet, is to learn at least one lesson of discernment. When this flood of the Huns came to intercept and carry them away, God held them back until the people of Israel had crossed his path. The very southernmost portion of them were still in the path of the invading Huns, but the rest of them had moved north, on up into Germany, and on to the Scandinavian peninsula. The tribes of the Goths were being driven westward. They came in the southerly portion and were in the path of Attila's invasion, and they were driven westward before it. And the Visigoths and Westgoths, starting from where they had been in Hungary, moved on across into northern Italy, sacked the city of Rome, and as I say, as a body, although they probably left a few stragglers behind, a great bulk of them moved on into Spain and settled there. Then later, almost a generation later, as the flood of the Huns were coming in now, snapping right at their heels, the Ostrogoths And the East Goths split. Some of them drove north, clear to the shores of the Baltic, where they formed northeastern Germany, and part of them split off and went westward into northern Italy, and those remained there. They set up a Gothic kingdom that lasted for some years in northern Italy, although eventually they were overthrown, but their people remained there. In Italy, you will find today in northern Italy tall, blonde, blue-eyed people who are in no way related racially to the short, swarthy people of southern Italy and Sicily. Those are the people now remaining of that Gothic invasion. In tying down firmly our interpretation of the significance of water and symbolism, the book of Revelation in chapter 17, verses 1 and 15 shows that the Bible is consistent in its symbolism, it being used the same in the book of Revelation as it was in the Old Testament. John said, "And there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sits upon many waters. And he said unto me, The waters which thou sawest where the whore sits are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So out of the sea